All right, welcome to week 4 Aetherdrift League. We got our weekly feature matches. We got a very interesting week this week. We got 5 league rookies competing in tonight's feature match out of the 6 players. So new to our league, obviously not new to Magic, but we'll see what they have to offer. One of them here is Timothy B. The other is Keelan T. And we got Oscar tonight on commentary for the match. How's Keelan's
Hello.
hand looking over there?
He was on only 3 and 4 drops, but he just top decked Sita Varma, which will help him stabilize this board a lot.
All right, what else has he got in the hand there?
He's got a Mutant Surveyor, a Fang Druid Summoner, and a Fang Guardian,
All
and
right.
3 lands.
So it looks like a salt die build of some kind over there. Yeah.
Definitely.
Sita Varma here. We see Timothy off to a nice start with this Burnout Bastronaut. That just helps you get to max speed pretty quick. He has definitely has a cycling theme deck, as we see here on with his cycles here. He is playing Jeskai colors, but unfortunately does not have a third land to play all the cool stuff in his hand. He's
That's
got
tough.
yeah, he's got a Road Rage, he's got a Starting Column, he's got an Outpace Oblivion, a Boosted Sloop, Guidelight Pathmaker, so he's on Jeskai, and he has a card from Ikoria, which would probably be pretty good if he could play it, which is the Ominous Seas. That's that enchantment that can make you 8/8 eventually, but he has to cycle in here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's even drawn a
That's a cool
monument.
pickup for
Yeah,
the
he's even
cycling deck.
he's even drawn a monument to endurance, which is another builder art card.
Wow.
But none of this matters if he can't find lands. So I guess we'll see in deck building if he went with a lower land count. I know often when you have cycling cards, you tend to shave land sometimes. So we'll see if that might be the reason why he's not drawing lands, or if it's just kind of variance here.
Maybe. Keelan here. Keelan is finding the Tarian. It's the only target in the deck, it seems. But he
Yeah,
does have the third forest casted next turn.
yeah. So his only castable card here is a Road Rage, which has no viable targets. So as cool as his deck looks, unfortunately, it's not really getting to do much this game. He drew a
Yeah,
Thundering Broodwagon, which seems to be only in his deck to be cycled. It's
that's an interesting decision. Yeah,
I mean, he may have like a push the limit or something to bring it back, but looks like
yeah.
Timothy's
He
just going
just
to block here and soak up some damage, perhaps. But
probably is just too far behind
yeah,
at this point.
Keelan is showing respect to the max speed here by not attacking all.
Definitely. Also, I like it a lot. The turn 2 where he held back, or turn 3 after playing the Surveyor
Yeah, well, he said if
to
my
prevent
opponent's
max speed.
screwed, I don't need. I'm just going to play my cards. And the only way I lose is if I make a mistake, perhaps. If my opponent's behind. He does get a third land here, which allows him to cast an Outpace Oblivion. Perhaps he could play a starting column as well, but the starting column just means he can't cast anything else, which is unfortunate here. So he's just going to fall a little too far behind, I think.
I
This,
think the Vita it also just is representing lethal here,
yeah, the Seed of
right?
Arma
The Seat Navarre, yeah,
can get it to 4 power, which is almost lethal. Yeah, can get it to 5 power, which is
yeah.
actual lethal. Yeah, it's just lethal on board. Oh well, what can you do? Yeah, I mean, Timothy's deck looks very cool, but Keelan just kind of played his cards, didn't do anything too crazy. Just played a 2 drop, a 3 drop, a 4 drop, a 5 drop, and his 2 drop, then won the game. So,
It looks like he's
huh,
not likely to go for the lethal.
okay. Surprise there. I mean, there was only 1 mana up. I don't know what he thought he might have for 1 mana.
Yeah,
Huh.
maybe a crash out.
The Seed of Arma, it's 2 green or
If
2 blue
that
to
be.
activate.
I can't hover it. I believe it's green, green, blue,
Okay.
but I'm unsure now that he didn't do it. I'll just take a peek. 1 second. Uh, yeah, it's
Yes.
green, green,
Yeah.
blue.
So as suspected, he does have 2 push the limit here in his deck. So 15, 16, 17, 18, 20. He's at 23 lands, which is maybe like 1 or 2 short of what we would call the norm. So Uh, he didn't shave on lands so much that he should have missed that many times. Absolutely not. But
No, 23 is reasonable.
yeah, he's at 20. What did I say? 22?
23?
15, 16, 17, 18, 20. No, 23. Yeah, that's pretty okay. Shouldn't be missing that many land drops. Yeah, his deck is very focused on cycling here.
Yeah, this is just like a classic Sultai value pile, splashing for a splashing white for snare as well for more removal.
Okay. Yeah, his deck is base red
Otherwise,
white, and he has about 5 blue cards, so 4 or 5 blue cards, as well as a couple of cyclers that he can't otherwise really cast.
yeah, that's interesting. The cycle deck, I feel like relies a lot on the payoffs. How is he like? What's
I
the
mean,
count?
he's got the
Of,
Monument to Endurance, he's got the Ominous Seas, he's got 2 Push the Limit. I didn't catch too many others that were catching my eye.
okay, interesting.
I mean, last week I played somebody who was on an Esper cycling. Their deck was really cool. They had the Abandoned Sarcophagus, which is that rare from Amonkhet, which ended up in our bonus sheet, where you can play cycling cards from your graveyard.
Oh
Uh,
yeah,
but
and
whenever a
if
cycling
after
card
you've
goes into
cycled
your
them,
graveyard, if you didn't cycle it, it gets exiled. So early in the game he spectacular pile up, and then later in the game he played the Abandoned Sarcophagus and cast spectacular pile up again
wow,
because it
that's
has
impressive.
cycling. Yeah, so I've seen some cool cycling decks. There was a player a few weeks ago, Matthew H, who had a very cool looking blue red cycling in a feature match that was very impressive. And here we got Timothy with a very cool looking deck, but unfortunately didn't get to see much of it in game one. Looking at the records here, Keelan's doing very well, 12-5. Timothy's at 9-9, so he's looking to stay alive and make it to week 5 here.
How's his hand looking this game?
Yeah. So in hand,
More playable?
he's got a Leonin Surveyor, a Sundial, and a Mendicant Core, so all white cards. But he does have the Sunbillow Verge, which will tap him for white. He's got Outpace Oblivion and a Clamorous Ironclad as well. What's uh,
Okay.
what's Keelan got going on?
He has a Grim Bauble, a Coil Viper, which is a reanimation spell on a stick, a Transit Mage, and then the Thornwood Broad Wagon for
Okay,
removal.
and he has
So solid
and he
hand.
has what we call Tron here on turn 3. Basically, all three
Yep.
colors with only basics.
So, oh yeah, true.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it
Beautiful.
works.
His options for this tutor are a Mystic Forge, which is interesting,
That's a cool
include
one.
a Debris Wagon and a Pact Terror.
Yeah, pretty good. Looks like he's gonna go for Pact Altair to get his drain machine going.
Yep. Lines up into the 3/3
Yep.
well
So
as well.
we got another Clamorous Ironclad drawn here. He does have 5 of them in his deck.
Wow, okay.
Clamorous Ironclad is notable as like one of the very few cards in the set that cycles for 1 mana. I think
A big deal. Yeah,
they learned their lesson a bit from Ikoria, giving cycling 1 to so many cards.
definitely.
It decides to go for the Leonin Surveyor here rather than perhaps the Mendicant Core. And he is leaving up a Road Rage here in case he feels like he wants to kill this Transit Mage, but I can't imagine he's thinking too much about that.
Uh,
He's probably just going to cycle.
we're probably just looking at Pactol Terror here. Could go for the Viper plus Bauble, but that doesn't seem necessary yet.
Yeah, Pact Altera probably seems solid here. It basically blocks any attacks. Probably might get targeted without Pace Oblivion if played. Yeah, the fun thing about Pact
Yep,
Altera is it's such a threat that even if your deck has like almost no artifacts in it, your opponent's probably going to remove it anyway.
for sure.
Like
It's
I've
just a super scary card.
I've played it in speed decks where I didn't have too many artifacts. I was just playing as like a way to get bump up my speed once or twice. I think I had like 2 other artifacts in the whole deck, and my opponent still killed it like on site.
Okay. Interesting. Does elect to road rage the
Yeah,
trinket
I
mage.
think he just wants to start getting through
Oh,
here. He's drawn another Outpace Oblivion, so he can just get pretty aggressive here. Attack for 5. Next turn he could play his Mendicant, attack for another 5 if as long as Keelan plays a creature with 5 toughness.
yep.
So
He's probably gonna bobble here and then play the Viper.
so he's not really cycling his way to an aggressive start here. He's just sort of playing a Boros. He's just sort of playing a Boros aggro deck, which is totally normal as well.
Yeah, it's doing good work right now.
Yeah, well, the cycling drew him to the removals he needed. So the Viper, I believe, costs 1 black and tap to bring something back
That's
with a
right. Yeah.
finality. Yeah, yeah, black and
But
tap,
it's
sack a
probably
creature, return with
gonna
finality.
get killed here.
Um, yeah, there's nothing too
Maybe.
threatening for it to bring back, but it's still probably worth his attention here because I mean he could let him sack it to get back a Pact Terror and then just kill the Pact Terror. I don't know how much. Maybe he figures I don't want him to get Transit Mage and go search up some other artifact. Yeah, so he's going to get to max speed, and he is going to cast his Mendicant, um, which means he can start copying artifacts. Looks like he's thinking about just cycling, not cycling, but drawing a card with the Leonin Surveyor and not exposing Mendicant to removal at this juncture in time.
Makes sense because we're gonna see the brood wagon come down here
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
hitting.
and Broodwagon would have absolutely killed the Mendicant rather than this Sundial. So maybe he draws a cheap artifact and he gets to copy it right away. But if not, he still gets to play his Mendicant.
Keelan drew a Willow hard bike for turn, so not that
Okay.
exciting for him.
Yeah, we got a kickoff celebration. So once again on this, it's not a cycling card, but kind of. Okay, he's drawn a Skybox Fairy here, which he can attempt to copy next turn if he plays Mendicant now. So not a very exciting one to copy, but still better than not copying it.
Definitely.
Oh, he might just be playing it here. I mean, his opponent. No, he's cycling. I thought maybe he's playing it, maybe he's cycling. Lots of options in the cycling deck.
Yep, that's very nice.
So he now has yet another choice here between Boosted Sloop or Mendicant Core, or possibly just dealing 2 damage to his opponent with the enchantment. Yeah, I think he's just gonna
Likes to hold back. Yep.
get this guaranteed damage in. And so next turn he could play Mendicant, and then he could play Boosted Sloop and copy the Boosted Sloop. He does have the exact mana required for that. Molt Tender, good
That's
on turn
probably
1. Not as good, not as good here.
for sure not.
Cannot yet crew this Brood Wagon.
Nope. The last card in hand is a Night
Oh,
Market
he's got
that
a
will
Guidelight
get
Pathmaker.
cycled.
See, if he put out his Mendicant Core like last turn, he'd be able to now copy Guidelight Pathmaker, which would be potentially like game winning. He'd be able to get like Monument to Endurance and something else.
Yeah, probably will still be allowed to do it next turn, unless we see
Yeah, unless he draws a removal.
Resurrection off the top here.
Yeah, like
And this is still great value.
yeah, it's great. Copying a vehicle isn't too exciting, but he does get to attack if he wants here.
Yep. And vehicles with static abilities, or at least, are a bit more worthwhile to copy.
Yeah, so he's going to get a double loot here. Well, one at a time, not a double, but back to back loots. Yeah, I mean his opponent's at 10. He's putting him to 7. He has another 2 damage on board, so things are chugging along here. He just
Hard to
gets
imagine anything he'd keep over the
yeah.
Lansar did for sure.
He just gets to cycle through those lands that he didn't want, and next turn potentially play this Pathmaker and get enough ahead here to close it out, perhaps.
Yep. So an Engine Rat and another land for Keelan is not gonna help him very much
Engine
here.
rat means that the broodwagon can be crewed. Um,
True.
and also it stops the menace boosted sloop potentially. So at least gives
Yeah,
him some more options. So he must
but I
have
think
something white in his deck if he's playing the Tranquil Cove. Maybe it's a Marshall's
yeah
Pathfinder or
he's
something.
playing the snare, the
Oh,
white
Perilous there. Okay.
O-ring. Yeah,
Yeah. All right. So
but trading both of these ones for a menace vehicle is not really where you want to be.
it's not a supremely winning line, I would say. But if he needs to stay alive, but this is going to be pretty good here. Let's see what
Yeah,
he wants to get.
probably.
So he actually has nothing to put on the battlefield. There's no eligible cards of 2 mana. Perhaps
Interesting.
he played them all. I know he played the Sundial. So he's just getting these cards into hand. So he got a
Yeah,
Perilous Snare, and now he's thinking about the Monument to Endurance. All right. So he says, I want to seal this game away in the next couple turns, and this is how I'm going to do it. Looks like he's was thinking about attacking or thinking about crewing. Okay, he's not gonna actually no, he's not gonna attack. I think attacking with one of the boosted sloops and trading it
makes a lot of sense.
for those
Yep.
2/1/1s seems good. Because
I
either
think
your opponent takes
honestly,
3 or they lose their whole board of creatures.
yeah, you're probably never blocking it here.
Which is
So
fine for Timothy. Yeah.
on the top for Keelan here is a Risen Necro, the 5 drop,
Yeah.
and a Greenbelt Guardian.
Okay. I mean a 5 mana 5/4 basically vanilla right now is okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
that
knowing it's going to get snared probably makes it less interesting. But you
yeah,
have to do it, and
that
you can
Necro
crew with
region.
it as well.
I think when I first saw it, I was like, okay, this is going to be like a staple uncommon, and then I realized, okay, you need like quite a good amount of start your engines. Like this can't be
Yeah,
your first start your engines card. And
exactly.
in the decks that can support it, it is like an absolute staple, excellent card. And the decks that can't, like, I just kind of don't play it a lot of the time. Like in my black green decks, or sometimes my black blue decks, it's not getting there, right?
No, for sure. Because if you're doing the thing like turns after you've played the Necrogen, then it's not going to be
Yeah.
worthwhile.
Right. So he's going to copy
Yeah,
a perilous snare here, which is going to be bad news. He has to crew here, right?
we've elected not to crew, I guess.
Okay. So yeah. So I guess he's just going to take this menace damage then, or actually he's just going to have to chump block the mendicant.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know why he's crewing. This is like a forced chump block here.
Maybe
He
he'd
can even
rather
put
get
counters on them.
5 damage. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. So if he crews the boosted sloop, it's like 5 damage guaranteed,
Yeah. I can see that making sense.
and then any cycling will just win with the monument. There's 2 monument to endurance even. Yeah. All right. So this wasn't so much a cycling game as it was an artifacts game. Uh, Here for Timothy, he was able to cycle at the beginning to get through some of the cards he didn't need. Yeah. So he just wins with the loot here.
Yes, that
All
makes
right.
sense.
Well, very very cool. Okay, we get it. Super cool. Super cool game here. We again, it was more of like a artifacts than a cycling game, but still we got to see a bit more of what
Still,
his deck can do and some of the scary cards that he has.
yeah. So killing cutting a bauble for a 2 drop, the Gibiric
Yeah,
Omnivore.
Omnivore.
Or
Yeah, not too many. There's only like about four creatures in this deck that will die to a Grim Bauble, so pretty
Yep.
good observation there.
And also putting in his copy of Broken Wings, which
Yep.
makes a lot of sense.
I mean, it wouldn't have been good at the end of the game there, but it would have been good perhaps earlier in the game. Looks like he's taking out a Canyon Vaulter, which I mean, a lot of the time he's not really doesn't really care about crewing his vehicles. He's cycling most of them, and it does die to the Grim Bauble that was now taken out.
That's true.
Another
Still two
yeah.
Grim Baubles remain.
Of note, I did mention before that I played against a cycling player that had a spectacular pileup. He also does have a spectacular pileup in his deck as well. Uh, does Timothy. So very cool cycling deck. Let's see who comes out on top here in game three.
Keelan has found Natural Tron
Ah,
again,
what a guy.
along with a Grim Bauble, Broken Wings, Transit Mage, and a Mu Yanling,
Oh, that's a good one.
which is a Mega Bomb. Yeah.
Yeah, we got a Swiftwater Cliffs and a Mountain here for Timothy. He has Lightning Strike to kill off something early. He has an Ironclad to cycle. He has Skybox Ferry and Thundering Broodwagon also to cycle. Spectacular Pileup, potentially to cycle. If he doesn't have a white source, and a Perilous Snare. So the only card in his hand that he's probably going to cast in the next few turns is a Lightning Strike.
Yeah. The next two draws here were Swamp
Oh.
plus Gonti, which is going to probably hit the table next turn.
Yeah, Gonti is just one of those snowball cards, right? Like it just comes
Definitely.
down, it hits like even if you get one creature through, it's like a disaster for the opponents. Like when I see Gonti, if even one creature gets to take a card off of my deck, I feel like it's such a disaster and I'm so far behind. Even if that's not exactly the case, I still feel that way.
For sure. It's super powerful. We may even not see it this turn because you'd prefer to have an attacker
I imagine he
ready
could play the
the turn you
Beetle
play
and
it.
then
Yeah.
crew it with the Gonti. So Timothy needs to dig here
Seems like
for a collision course. He has a collision course. He needs to dig for the white source, and he hasn't found it yet. But he's gonna keep trying. Okay, still no white source here. He has a mountain and nothing castable except the boosted sloop. But he has two more cycling cards, so let's see what he does. Yeah, this debris beetle is extremely threatening on its own, but paired with a Gonti, it's going to be uh, big trouble here. And if he just pays boosted sloop with no follow up, I think he might have to
he'll
cycle here.
he'll be
Yeah,
in trouble.
he figured out he has to cycle. Still no white source, so he's gonna take a hit. This he's just drawing mountains here. So his deck is like primary red, but he still has like quite a few white cards. So this is going to be big trouble. He's two planes away from the spectacular pileup, so
Yeah,
unlikely that
that's
he'll cast it in the next few
quite
turns.
far. Yeah,
Yeah.
and this is gonna go fast all of a sudden.
Again, like when my opponent draws a card, I'm like, okay, they drew a card. But when they draw my card, I'm like, no, they
Oh,
can't
the
do that.
planes. He took the
Oh
planes off the
no.
top.
Oh no. It was the next card. Yeah, there's something just feels so indignant when somebody takes your card. Yeah.
Definitely, it's backbreaking.
Yeah, and now he's just having to sadly cycle away his spectacular pile and finds more mountains in hand. He has another mountain in hand and then four white cards. So, these are the risks when you play three colors. Sometimes your mana base betrays you. Sometimes your opponent steals your white source right off the top of your deck, even though it was all random.
Yeah, here we're likely to see an omnivore into crew. He also has a Fang Druid Summoner, but only one green source.
Yeah,
So he'll have to elect between those.
yeah. So this is definitely starting to spiral here, especially with
Yeah,
the Gonti. Like again, like I said, it's a snowball card. Once you get it going, you're getting cards which give you momentum to keep going, right? That's like any of these creatures that draw cards when they hit opponent. It's like, well, they give you fuel to keep making sure your creatures get through. More
Oh,
planes?
and he grabbed the push the limit off the top
Okay.
and the mountain.
I mean, yeah, Timothy's at three here. I was gonna say push the limit might have been a way for him to steal a win, but not when he's at three here. He does have the white source, but he does
It's a
not
little
have
too
enough
late.
resources here to fend off all of the damage that's coming for him. Like he could play the Guidelight Pathmaker and he could go put Sundial into play, um, but even that won't be enough here.
Oh, he's swinging for at least 12
Yeah, he has six
Keelan here
trample
next turn.
plus 2/3 power creatures. So unfortunately, the mana trouble did spell disaster here for Timothy in this game, but we did get to see his deck absolutely go off in the second game, copying all his artifacts, cycling, and all the cool stuff he can do. But yeah, if you don't get your colors, you don't get to play much.
Definitely.
So he's trying to figure out if he could stay alive. I think we know that it's not likely. Yeah.
Yeah,
Guidelight
and we see the
Pathmaker getting
GG.
Sundial might have been something, but it's all going to end the same way, which is with a victory for Keelan. So he continues his run up the standings here, getting to 13 wins. And
Very impressive.
yeah, I mean, I noted at the beginning that we have 5 league rookies playing tonight, and the only one that's not a league rookie is Keelan. He's like the veteran, but this is just his 5th league, so he's just been with us for the past little under a year. So, but he has got the victory tonight. So, congratulations to Keelan, and we'll be back later with our second match of the week.